In the US, Democrats are bracing themselves for major losses in the midterm elections, including the possibility they'll relinquish control of Congress. The sluggish economic recovery and the consistently high jobless rate continue to dominate as the biggest issues. In a sign of just how tough things are for the Democrats, a normally safe Senate seat in California is coming down to the wire. North America correspondent Lisa Miller reports from California.
All right, so this is your precinct. These are the borders of it, obviously. You've got, I got 15.
Okay, we need two, I think.
2 scripts, perfect. I can, yeah.
Let me just double check this.
It's all about walking the precincts and talking to every single voter to help.
It's Saturday morning in San Francisco's Democratic headquarters.
Hi, my name is Michael Zonta. I'm a volunteer with the San Francisco Democratic Party. Do you have a second to talk about the election on November 2nd?
These volunteers are getting their marching orders for another day of door knocking.
And hopefully you're relatively familiar with the area and you can find your way there, right? Here's the end of Castro Street.
And like Democrats across the country, they've got a fight on their hands.
We know for the most part that we could lose 30 seats, but when you think about the possibility of talking 65 seats, 30 is nothing.
So you're feeling sort of pumped heading out there today, are
Yes,
you?
that's right. That's
Even though the opinion polls say that the Democrats are not faring very well at all, how does that make you feel when you're heading out there?
It makes me feel glad to be in San Francisco because that's not what's going to happen here.
California's voting habits have been as predictable as the sunshine and surf. It's been 20 years since the country's most populous state sent a Republican senator to Washington. But it's now delivering one of the most fascinating battles of this campaign. And it's the clearest sign of the trouble facing the Democratic Party right across the country.
And if there's a big swing on to Republicans and they start to make inroads here in California, that'll be a real sign of just how far things have turned sour for Democrats right across the country. If a state like California starts to break for Republicans and starts to accept the Republican message of smaller government, smaller taxes.
On one side is Democrat Barbara Boxer, a socially liberal senator who's had the job for 18 years. She's facing the biggest challenge of her career in Carly Fiorina, the former head of computer giant Hewlett-Packard.
Carly Fiorina became the only woman to ever lead a Fortune 20 company. While the rest of the tech world suffered through the dot-com bust, Carly got things done.
Barbara Boxer, who has done.
If Carly Fiorina snatches this jewel of California from the Democrats, there's little doubt Republicans will be claiming the Senate.
Big money, big names, big drama in California, and really big stakes for President Barack Obama here.
The San Francisco Chronicle's senior political writer is covering another high-profile race today.
So do you know in California there's a governor? So I'm running for governor.
The former eBay boss and Republican Meg Whitman is trailing Jerry Brown in the governor's race to replace Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it's the closeness of the Senate race between Barbara Boxer and Carly Fiorina that has political junkies fascinated.
It is a huge plum in the presidential election of 2012. If President Obama loses the governor's race here and the U.S. Senate race, his job in 2012 for re-election is much, much harder. So huge stakes for the Democrats here.
To the President of the United States, Barack Obama!
In a sign of how critical this has become, President Obama has launched his own rescue mission, appearing at rallies and fundraisers in a state he could previously have ignored.
We have to have Barbara back in the Senate. We have to have her back in the Senate.
But Republicans say she's already spent too much time there.
Do me a favor. Could you say senator instead of ma'am?
Yes,
it's just a thing. I worked so hard to get that title, so I'd appreciate it. Yes, thank you. 28 years in Washington, and Barbara Boxer works hard for a title?
Barbara Boxer is the most bitterly partisan, most anti-defense senator in the United States Senate today. I know that because I've had the unpleasant experience of having to serve with her.
We caught up with the Republican hopeful in one of the state's most disadvantaged regions.
From humble beginnings, Carly Fiorina worked her way through undergraduate and graduate school. Carly Fiorina.
Latino mayors like the Fiorina rags to riches story, and they're here to endorse her. What does it say about the state of politics in America that Republicans are making such a good showing in a state like California?
You know, I actually think that when you look at what's going on in California, what you see are certainly many Republicans excited about this election. But what you also see are swing voters who are stepping forward and saying, we have a choice to make. The people standing behind me are swing voters. They're people who say, you know what, I don't vote a party slate. I don't owe a party anything.
This area typifies the challenge facing Barack Obama. We're about 2.5 hours southeast of San Francisco. It's a primarily agricultural area and the unemployment rate is 40%. And the people here say that hasn't changed over the last 2 years, so why should they stay loyal to the Democrats? Just days before Halloween, and the families here are living their own horror story. As well as record unemployment, this area has had one of the highest foreclosure rates, and their bitterness towards Barack Obama is acute.
It's going to show what's happening with him. There was a lot of votes that probably shouldn't have been counted with that. He just had a lot of followers that didn't even know what they were voting for.
A lot of people are worried about jobs and getting them and keeping employed. A lot of people have lost their jobs and their careers and are restarting new ones. So it's a big deal.
I'm probably not going to vote.
Why?
No. Probably because I just don't feel like whoever gets elected is going to do much. Just because in the past it just doesn't feel like anything has changed.
It's that kind of discontent that's made this campaign an uphill battle for the Democrats from the beginning. Losses are inevitable. On election eve, the only question that remains is how many. Lisa Miller, Lateline.